Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Hangout Conversations with Matt Rappaport. I am him. It's the end of August already. I can't believe it, but summer really is 3 more weeks. Don't count your chickens. Wow, I can't believe 1 year ago I was thinking about Hangout Conversations and a Hangout, thinking about starting this show, and it took shape in my head, and the big anniversary show is in just 2 weeks. And my guest tonight, I think, has a similar anniversary we'll talk about. Last week's show is now up. It was a great show with virtual star parties, Fraser Kane and Scott Lewis. Definitely check that out. We talked about space and Mars, and definitely circle virtual star party. It's a great, cool thing. They have a telescope in the Hangout, which is very cool. No one else is doing that just yet. They're going to try to get Bill Nye the Science Guy on their show, I think. And last Plustainment show, number 22, with Jane Ellen is up as well. New Google Plus features. The new birthday feature is now on Google.com, but not on Google Plus specifically. So is that another way, I think, to get the mainstream over to Google Plus, or is it too much like Facebook? Let me know what you think about that. I say the more the merrier, as long as it works. It's a big deal. What else? I made 2 public posts about happy birthdays, wishing people happy birthdays, and hopefully that will become automated. That would be great. And what else? The big business post feature. Now you can do Hangouts from the Google Calendar, and I believe you could probably do a Hangout from almost anywhere. And the whole have your business secure with just your members of your business getting messages and Hangout invites and G-Talks and limited. That should be interesting to see how that develops and how many businesses use that and how they use that. But the big story, $1 billion in nickels, but that wasn't true. Although another thing I'm going to talk to you about tonight's great guest is a lot of things get posted on the internet, but they're not even true, but people believe them. So that's kind of interesting. And we'll get right into that. Tonight's guest is, she is my first Emmy winner, as I can't talk, first Emmy winner that I've ever had, 9 times. 9 times. For her work as a reporter down in Missouri. That's the first time I think I've ever said Missouri. As an anchor at KOMU-TV 8 and former adjunctive faculty for the University of Missouri Journalism School, still does it sometimes. Started in radio in the early 90s, has led her to television, reporting all over the world. I'm reading from my teleprompter. And launching the first Google Plus Hangout during a live broadcast. She's been plussing her way into our hearts here on Google Plus, and it's an honor and pleasure to introduce someone I've watched cook with Larry Fournier. You should check him out as well. It is the Sarah Hill. Welcome to Hangout Conversation, Sarah.
Thank you. It's great to be here. That is quite the introduction. It's good to see you and great to be in the boxes again.
In the boxes. Thinking inside the box as well as outside. Very cool. So I know that here's a question everyone's dying to know. Are you ready? It's a big one. What did you have for breakfast today?
Well, you know what? I am not a breakfast eater, and so don't model your diet off of mine, but I drink Diet Coke in the morning, so I have cold coffee.
Nice.
Was up late last night. We just started a new job here at Veterans United, so was trying to get all of our files moved over and made sure that we had the Google Talk plugin plugged in, downloaded on all of our computers. So it was a late night. So I had some cold coffee to get me up and running in the morning.
And you do a lot, and you do run, right? You're a big runner. Right?
Yeah, I am. Don't run very fast. Matter of fact, when people see me out on the trail, there's an MKT trail in town, they say, I saw you walking. And I was like, I was running.
I was walking very fast.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I love to run. It's, great stress reliever. So
you were born to run, baby. You were born to run.
That's right, yeah.
I like you got the Veteran United home loans back there. You got the American flag back there that you hung up. Did you actually hang that up, or does it come that way?
No, this was already here. I'm actually in, and I should join from the other computer. I'm in a temporary studio right now. Veterans United is building a Hangout studio just across the street, essentially. A large 40 by 40 foot space that has a cyclorama and will have interesting sets and is basically my playground that I'm looking forward to using it for Hangouts. So they are building that. So right now we're in a temporary space. We've got a green screen over here, and our studio is set to be completed in October. So we're really excited about getting that up and running. But until then, obviously we'll be hanging out and doing interviews and using this space to connect with people face to face.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to more of your Hangouts. You've been here quite some time since basically the beginning. A lot has happened. I kind of wanted to go right into news stories. I feel like I wore ties. Mike Downs, who's watching, it was like, oh, you got to wear ties. I'm not like they're not done or anything. And like he's like, you got to wear a nice smart jacket for Sarah Hill, and I have one of those. I don't know put it on here, and you know,
You
I
are
know it's not what my
you are overdressed. I don't have that. I have a sleeveless shirt on, so you know you're a little
well,
bit. You're a
yeah,
little
I'm
bit.
gonna take this off. This is just for the news. I want to do a little news with you. Get all newsy.
It's all black, so it looks like only your face. Like put it up above your neck. There you go. See, so a headless,
Headless Horseman.
bodiless. Yeah.
The Bruce Springsteen right there and all that. A lot of news stories. The big one, of course, is the hurricane. And not to be a downer, but so Hurricane Isaac is moving through, and it's actually kind of heading your way, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's amazing that right after the anniversary of Katrina, and I know from my dossier on you that you've covered Katrina extensively, the aftermath. So what are your feelings? What's going on right now in the area? If you can relay people's concerns. And
Yeah, when we covered the aftermath of hurricanes Katrina and Rita as well there in Louisiana. So, you know, I can only imagine what they're going through. You know, what we saw there during Katrina was horrific. You know, there were individuals there with everything, you know, they owned was essentially in a black plastic bag. So some of the stories that we did there was by a lot of the people who were displaced during the storm. You know, all eyes are watching. We here in the Midwest are watching the weather pattern actually that's coming up from Katrina, and watching it very closely because we are in the midst of a severe drought, one of the worst droughts. A lot of farmland, a lot of crops have been lost in our area. As well as a lot of people who've passed away from heat-related illness. So we're watching that weather pattern and hoping that some of the remnants of that storm will come our way, which they're saying that it will, probably around Friday or Saturday-ish.
yeah, but you never know with those storms. They're kind of crazy. But I can't imagine living in your area between the hurricanes and tornadoes and heat and drought, and it's pretty crazy.
Matter of fact, my parents have been displaced via a flood. And via a tornado as well. So yeah, we get all kinds of different weather here. So it keeps our news stations hopping, that's for sure.
Yeah, and well, our thoughts and prayers are to everyone that are out there in the area, and it's amazing that it happened on the anniversary too. That I find just really crazy coincidence, but.
Definitely thoughts and prayers with anyone going there. That's one of the things that I would hope that they know, that a lot of people not only around the United States but around the world are thinking about them. Yeah,
for sure. So you've done over the years. Speaking of news, so you did. There were the Montreal demonstrations that you actually had in a hangout. What was that experience like? You actually had people reporting.
Yeah, it was an interesting case. This was before Hangouts on Air, which Hangouts on Air are essentially streaming Hangouts on YouTube. This was before they were released to everyone, so there were only certain people on the platform who had it, and there was a journalist, a citizen journalist. He was actually a television director at a television station there in Montreal, who did a public post and said, I need a Hangout on Air. They're rioting in Montreal. So I contacted him and said, hey, you can use my Hangout on Air. Obviously, we're in Missouri, but you know, you can use that platform. And it just goes to show you how this platform is you know, global in nature, and that, you know, I say all the time, it's a magic carpet that can take you around the world in a matter of seconds, or around the block too. So we were able to take people to the streets of Montreal when they were doing demonstrations there, and not only take them there, but allow other individuals to join that hangout and ask that reporter who was on the scene in Montreal in real time questions about what they were seeing. And that is why this platform surpasses any other live tweet or text-based social media interaction, because it is face-to-face, real-time engagement. You're not waiting, you know, 30 seconds or 2 minutes for somebody to get a tweet. You're not having to pull up a twit pic. You are watching live. You are in that conversation, and you are able to experience that event in real time, and not only experience it in real time, but interact in real time with the ability to ask questions. So, you know, the future of this platform for journalists, the future of this platform for businesses as well, like my new employer, is huge, because it is a broadcast stick for every single business out there, and they have the ability, via streaming on-air hangouts, to have a face-to-face relationship with their customers and with their audience. And I think in the future we'll be hearing a lot more about human media, not just text-based social media, but human media. Hangouts are human media, living, breathing social media. And I think the businesses that get that, the celebrities that get that,
people that get that, yeah,
will be propelled a lot, because it's one thing to chat with somebody's avatar on Twitter, and nothing against anyone who is on Twitter, but it is a deeper level of engagement and a deeper level of interaction to see them. I'm reading, I'm looking at your body language, Matthew. You're leaning forward. All kinds of nuances and things that I can see that chatting with an avatar in Twitter that we would never have the opportunity to do. Not only that, but the globality of this platform is really continuing, contributing. Armin Nerwa calls it global despatialization. It is reducing the physical space between us. Yeah,
okay.
Reducing the physical space between us. And so I'm so geeked out, about the future of what this holds, not just for journalists, but for businesses. And so that's my new endeavor. We'll be focusing on, okay, how do you use this broadcast stick for businesses to have a closer relationship with not only your customers, but your future customers.
Yeah, just like what you were saying, that me and you have, I met you last summer, and over the course of the year, there's been that kind of interaction on the stream and through Hangouts, and through many people have connected with you, and they feel like they know you, and there's a personal relationship, which is very cool. And
they do say that, if on Twitter or Facebook, if you had somebody who would interact, with their local news anchor, they would say, I chatted with so-and-so on Twitter, but people on Google+, when they come into your virtual front porch, they know you, right? Because people who you allow into your home, you say, I know you. If somebody would say Matthew Rappaport, I would say, oh yeah, I know him. Not just, oh, he's, I follow him on Twitter, but it's, I know him because I've actually physically met him and talked with him face to face.
And it's so much more powerful than anything else before. And I think that people that came here knew Hangouts was the beauty of Google Plus from the beginning, and they're like, oh, I can do something. I can actually meet people, and it's not the scary, strange version of like chat roulette, which sometimes, anything can happen. But it's amazing, that people just went for it, and they're just, yeah, I'm gonna talk about my life. I'm gonna build things to you and talk to you about things. You're perfect strangers that maybe I don't talk to my own friends about, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if you've had that experience, if you've seen people share things that, and I'm sure you've seen people in tears and laughing and everything that you can't see on Twitter. You can't see
Oh yeah, absolutely. I watched someone hopped in my Hangout one day, and his wife had just had a baby, and they're in the hospital, and he's showing me his newborn. I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, that would never come through via a still pic. Living, breathing human media. We've hung out with an individual who was going through medical treatments. It wasn't chemotherapy, but it was similar to infusions. They've joined our Hangout. So these people are sharing their lives with us. One guy joined a Hangout who was making tacos in his kitchen. Somebody else joined a Hangout with us who was at a garage sale. It's bringing our lives to each other in real time, and not just doing superficial text-based social media.
Yeah, and you're looking at my eyes, and it sounds like there might be an echo when I talk. So I'm not sure. Are you now? There's something maybe called studio mode. I'm not sure if you're in studio mode right now or not. Bruce Garber, our friend Bruce Garber, is watching us right now, and he informed me there's a bit of an echo. Bruce Garber. And,
Bruce Garber is helping us on Tuesday with. He's been helping us with some of those virtual honor flights. So yeah.
And we're going to get into that. And Bruce Garber's great. I met him again at New York City Hurl 2, and just a great gathering. I know you've hurled a lot. But real quick, I want to, let's see. So on-air broadcasting, the future, I know Peter McDermott has been involved with you before, and lots of others. And Peter's actually done some, he did an actual story in front of Starbucks at one point for you, I think, during the year.
Who was that? I'm sorry, I missed the name.
Oh, Peter McDermott.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Peter obviously been on the platform since day one, and he was one of the very first people who joined some of our hangouts, and people obviously that will always be near and dear to my heart. It's great to meet other people who use the platform in the ways, and he is an engager. When you say Peter McDermott, obviously, you know, you think engager right after that. Yeah, but he's contributed. We've had people do mobile live reports. There was a time when our satellite truck went down. When there was a tornado in Branson, Missouri, we weren't able to get a television station satellite truck there. So we opened up a Hangout, and we were able to disseminate that emergency information to our viewers. And not only that, but allow other people to join that Hangout and ask questions about what was happening. So, you know, that's just one of the instances, absolutely. And now that we're able to have, you know, Androids at least join Hangouts on Air, you know, we'll see a lot more, I think, citizen journalism. And I hate that word, citizen journalism, because we are all journalists, but we will see traditional journalists and independent journalists all using this space to collaborate and really see a journalism renaissance, because we are not only having journalists in this space, but developers in the space as well. So all of us are able to have group conversations and say, okay, a journalist needs this, and a developer is able to provide that solution. So I think that's really neat to see within it happen and unfold within these boxes.
Sorry, I'm multitasking. Yeah, for sure. Right. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out this echo. I wonder, do you have speakers? Maybe turn your speakers down a little bit. I'm not sure if that's why, or it's coming through your speakers.
Yeah, I can. You want me to put on headphones?
Well, yeah, you look great either way. I mean, you're like, I don't want to ruin your hair.
No, it's all good. It'll take me just a second, so I'll put on some headphones.
Take your time. Yeah, sure. You're joining us on Hangout Conversations. I'm here with Sarah Hill, the lovely Sarah Hill. There she is. Talented, Emmy Award-winning Sarah. Yeah, we're just talking about the future of news and how Hangouts are changing that. I'm just seeing if Sarah is with us. It's like a slow motion. It slowed, it froze you for a second. Are you good? Okay, I think the echo's gone. Is it? I think it's good. I think we're good. You can hear me. Everyone's watching. They're enjoying watching. I think people enjoy watching the little things you could be, because they watch you in the news desk where I'm walking around and everything. So messing with your headphones and everything, they're like, "That's Sarah." To all that.
Absolutely. Well, usually we have IFBs in that we have little earworms that are in my ear, so you can't really see our headphones. But we wear two of them. We have one so that we can hear our studio audio, and then we have one that we can hear the Hangout on. It takes a bit, you know, getting used to that, but it's fascinating to be doing a broadcast and hearing in the other ear what people are saying in real time.
And your producer's in the other ear, like.
Yeah, the producer is in the other ear, so it's, you know.
And they're like doing this to you, right? Like.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Wrap it up, you know, stand by, all of those different cues. Cues, by the way, that people in the Hangout have learned as we give them cues and let them know when we're about ready to go live and things like that. Cool.
Do you think as we move along with this platform, the future of news, do you think news is going to be able to keep up with or compete with this platform as it's mobile and all over the place, and everyone can have no censorship? They can just go out and say and report as they want without having to worry about the typical boundaries that you might have at a TV network.
And you say by news, do you mean traditional news media organizations? And
yes.
Traditional news media organizations, the ones that will survive in the future are the ones that lock arms with independent journalists and recognize that they are not the only ones with a broadcast stick, right? Anybody has the ability to provide video. And, you know, my situation really kind of exemplifies that, in that businesses and other entities aren't waiting for outside third-party news organizations to cover their stories or to create media about their stories. So what are businesses doing? They are hiring their own broadcasters, right? I'm a broadcaster. Right. They're hiring their own broadcasters to produce their own media. So, you know, news organizations that want to survive in the future will recognize that, you know, journalists do not have to be, you know, traditional journalists, independent journalists. Anyone who has a smartphone or has the ability to share photo, video, or vetted information is a journalist. And you know, this is one example. Yeah, you're holding up your phone right there. Yeah, absolutely. And Hangouts on Air is one example of that. When that was enabled, you know, that gave essentially almost everyone in the world the ability to broadcast. And you know, that's I hate to say game changer because that term is used a lot, but that has changed the playing fields, and traditional news organizations and even businesses need to pay attention to that. Because no longer do we have to wait for, you know, third-party broadcast stations with call letters to come to your business and cover your story. Businesses essentially are just, you know, hiring people like myself essentially to create their own media and be their own broadcaster.
Sorry, that was my dog. I don't know if you heard that. I have a Yorkshire Terrier named Minnie, and she's in the other room, but she gets yappy, and I try to keep my audio muted so you don't hear it happens.
I've got 3 Weims, so I totally understand. 3 Weimaranerers, yeah.
What are their names?
River, Bella, and then we have a Collie Aussie mix mutt named Lucky, but they're 90 pounds and pretty cute dogs. If you follow my stream at all, they like to bring in possums in the middle of the night. So
that's
possum. They've brought in 6 over the last year, so there are a bunch of videos and pictures in my stream from the possum hunters that are my dogs.
Is Bella not named because of the Twilight movies, right? Or
yeah, I guess sort of a
okay.
Twilight reference there, you might say.
Okay.
But
that's
yeah.
weird because I was going to ask you about Twilight later on for some reason, and that's a coincidence that I didn't even know. So that's kind of cool. So let's get into, you've done a lot of work over the years, and Culture That Crawls was a doc that you worked on, and the Plusketeers effort to get to really raise money for people that don't have the ability to get around, and that's a project that's passionate and dear to your heart, that you spread on Google Plus through the Plusketeer effort. Talk about that, and talk about you know, you're working in Guatemala.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I should mention it's not just me, it's the people on this platform who are Plusketeers. If you go to plusketeers.org, you'll see me and others share a lot of posts where you can use your platform essentially to make a difference. And if you just search in Google Plus or Google the hashtag Plusketeers, Plusketeers, you know, essentially there are a lot of people in third world countries, when we were in Vietnam and Guatemala, who crawl on the ground because they have no other way to get around. So they crawl through the dog manure. They're dragging their legs. We've seen people, you know, push people in wheelbarrows. We met an adult mother who was, you know, in her 50s, and she had carried her son on her back for 3 decades. I mean, can you imagine carrying your child, your adult child, for that long, for 3 decades? So these are some of the things that are going on in poor countries. And our documentary that we did, if you go to theculturethatcrawls.com, you can view some of those stories. But the solution, one of the solutions, is a mobility device. It's a hand-cranked cart with 3 wheels, and people are able to navigate those areas because wheelchairs aren't always able to navigate areas like in the jungle where there are tree roots and where there are sharp rocks. This is essentially like a hand-powered all-terrain vehicle that allows people to get around. So we've been around essentially telling stories about some of the people who have to crawl on the ground because they don't have any mobility. And if you go to plusketeers.org, you can see a lot of other worthy organizations that are also wanting to get their stories out. And people share posts with me, and when I can, I always don't have, you know, I can't always get through all of my notifications, but you know, I like to use my platform in order to give others a platform for some of those worthy causes. So that's on the Plusketeers hashtag.
Cool. And so the effort that took place, the reshares of Plusketeers, and I know Peter and a lot of other people were involved in spreading the Plusketeers. And you do an A, that was me and Peter trying to do something funny, but don't. But anyway, maybe that'll happen. But yeah, the efforts, the charity, there's been lots of charity and people raising money here on Google Plus. It's been quite amazing. when they come together.
And a big credit to people like yourself and Peters and all of the others who were on that Plusketeer committee. And I hesitate to name names because I know that I will leave somebody out. But they really picked up that ball and ran with it. And in the future, it would be great if someone out there is watching who has a lot of money and I don't know, smells, what's the term, smells like rich mahogany and from the, what's the line from the Anchorman show? I forget what it is. Somebody on the street is going to have to remind me.
Yeah, you don't want me to quote the lines I know from Anchorman.
Yeah, but somebody out there is watching, that we certainly are taking donations in that respect via CrowdRise and plusketeers.org. If you go to plusketeers.org, there's information on how to donate there.
Very cool. And last thing in the news, and I take this jacket off as I sweat here in New York. The election, of course, we have to talk about the election. It's a major thing. Another election, and no matter what side of the aisle you're on, they just have been at the Republican convention. There's been a lot of things said, and I think there's always things said, but there are a lot of things said by, it seems like a lot of things that Romney's camp is saying, like the whole thing about the fact-checking, we don't care about fact-checking, and sure, there's some stuff from Obama, no one's innocent, but what is, you don't have to get into your own personal political views, which I'm not sure exactly what they are, but what is your opinion of the whole we're not checking facts and some of the things that have been said?
Obviously you've got to check facts. I think, for instance, the whole Republican National Convention is interesting, and the whole mentality of a convention is interesting. I don't know if you guys follow Jeff Jarvis at all or look at his stream, but he had an interesting post not too long ago about why the heck are journalists covering conventions? What really is happening at these conventions beyond pomp and circumstance, and that's Republicans and Democrats alike. And he raised an interesting point about how much money is being paid for reporters to cover these conventions, and what if those resources were dedicated to something else. So there's kind of interesting discussion in the journalism world about whether coverage of conventions are necessary. It has been interesting. Have you seen what the RNC has been doing? Los Angeles Times as well with Hangouts. So that's been fascinating to watch. News organizations, with paired alongside these conventions, are allowing people to have access, to some of the players at the conventions, and also have a voice in the broadcast. So I've been fascinating, really, watching that coverage as well.
And what is yeah, I've been watching it too. So what is your feeling? Obama did a hangout earlier in the year, and I think pretty sure Romney did his own hangout. Mm-hmm. Did you watch those and give any feeling? Yeah,
and
those?
There was also some other candidates beyond, besides them who did as well. Libertarian and politicians are embracing this platform. I did a blog post not too long ago about how essentially Hangouts are virtual door knocking, right? The door knocking campaign of the future. No longer people, physically going, door to door. They have the ability to go state to state, country to country, district to district via a Hangout. And in the future, as the penetration of this platform gets even more, I think we'll see even more politicians getting on the platform. Obviously, fascinating to watch Obama and Romney with that and the Hangouts. The question is, in the future, will a politician open up a Hangout and have individuals there who haven't been vetted? Because there was some discussion about the vetting process. Who got in those Hangouts? And
Peter did a great follow-up. Peter McDermott on the Obama Hangout, he did a great follow-up, and Jennifer White-Weedell, I think he was big with her, and she said, I think most of them said they just submitted their questions via YouTube, but who knows and how it works. The vetting. Yeah. But yeah, that'd be great.
And obviously, with this, everybody has to have a vetting process, because you can't just have anyone join an on-air hangout, because you want to make sure that the conduct is appropriate, and that people know not to share copyrighted material and things like that. But interesting discussion in the future on if politicians and presidents will hold office hours. And not only that, but will they use this space in order to have regular ongoing conversations with other politicians in other countries that they might not necessarily agree with. And it would be interesting to see if, two countries that don't get along were to spend some quality face-to-face time together via a group video chat, and what that might do for the relations of those countries, instead of having ambassadors or emissaries or the occasional visit, that if they were forced to physically spend some quality face-to-face time together.
And it's interesting you bring that up, because over the year I've hung out with a lot of people publicly and all that, and I've hung out with people in Iran and Afghanistan, and some of them talk about how like their friends are in prison just for speaking out, or and you start to see that you ask them questions about what the media says about a country, and they say that that's not true, and like a lot of ideas that I think people have, and then you talk to actual people in those countries for Hangouts. It's such a powerful thing. You start to learn that, like, wow, that's maybe you guys aren't so bad, or this isn't so terrible, or it's really your government and it's not you,
Yeah, and it goes, just the opposite way as well. For instance, we were doing a hangout one time, and a gentleman from Pakistan joined. And the first thing he said his name, and he said, "I'm from Pakistan." And then he said, "But I'm not a terrorist." And all of us in the hangout paused, and someone spoke up, and they said, Mr. Smith, we are glad you're here, but you should also know that not everyone in the United States thinks that everyone from Pakistan is a terrorist. So this space is blowing away those stereotypes that people have, and really bringing people together in an authentic community to have conversations about some of those stereotypes, not just about the stereotypes, but things that we share, that we all share in common, regardless of our race, religion, gender, or physical locality.
Yeah, for sure. It's very powerful, and I'm looking forward to the next year. I mean, this is the big anniversary for me, and I think September 12th was the same day you started with couches, or you had like your own couch.
Yeah, September 11th, actually it was. Last year is when we started our interactive endeavor. We've been using Hangouts on TV since July of 2011, so more than a year. But September 12th, we launched an interactive endeavor where we regularly put people in Hangouts on TV to have group conversations, essentially about the day's news. It went through a series of time changes and name changes. The program still exists. It's at the noon hour, and it's called KOMU-8 News at Noon with Angie Bailey. So if you circle Angie Bailey,
and she's great too.
Yeah, she would love for you to come and hang out with her during the news. And I'm excited that we were able to get that program off the ground, and we continue to mentor journalists about using this space in their broadcasts. And really, that's what it's a great use of this space, because you are able to see your viewers in real time. It punches through that television glass. No longer is there a barrier between a broadcaster and a viewer. No longer is there a barrier, really, between a business and their customers. You have the ability